I have a job for you.
Jeez, it's not another arc, is it?
No, not again. This time I need a full-scale home renovation.
Noah Construction and Builders is your design and build partner. We do it all, from additions and dormers to full-scale renovations. Schedule your no-cost design consultation today. Visit us online at noahconstruction-builders.com.
Noah Construction and Builders. Through dreams we design, with vision we build. With vision we build.
Platforms, hard to the core. Bodybuilding, sports, fitness, lifestyle, and even more. Since 2008, we have led the way. Living the Jackson life each and every day. MuscleSportMan.com.
And welcome to Muscle Sport Media Live on WGBB Radio, 95.9 FM, 1240 AM on your radio dial. I am your co-host, Joe Pietaro. Across from me, Anthony Tuminello, and across the glass, here he is, the man, Trevor, getting the sound out there on your radio, your podcast, and your vlogcast. I hate that word.
What's a vlogcast, Joe?
Like a video podcast.
We have one of those?
Well, that's the YouTube version of this.
A vlogcast?
See, waving to the camera.
I never heard that term.
Yeah, it's video podcast.
So we have a vlogcast.
We have a vlogcast, we have
vlog.
a podcast, and we have a radio show.
Wow, how about
We
that?
got it. We got the triple Lindy of media.
How about that?
Remember the triple Lindy? With,
That's Rodney Dangerfield.
Hey, Melvin, we need you.
Let me tell you, I recently watched that, right? Here's the best part of that. Remember Sam Kennison is the history teacher?
Yeah.
That was the funniest thing.
Great.
She's
just a kid. Leave her alone.
Oh my God. Yo, he was so perfect. And actually they told the behind the scenes story about that. The behind the scenes story about that was that he did so much of the stuff, you know, the nose stuff.
Oh, Kennison. Yeah.
Kennison on that
Say
oh
it.
my God. In that scene, well, that guy, he died very young.
Was it a call? I think it was
I thought
Dewey,
it was,
like.
I thought it was an overdose.
I don't know. It was something.
They all did, those comedians. They
Yeah,
all did.
it was something that he, messed up with. But he was great.
That was such a funny freaking movie,
Wild
man.
Thing video with Jessica Hahn.
That
in
was
it. It was just
such a funny. He was a great comedian.
He was very good. But my favorite Rodney movie was Easy Money.
I knew you were going to say that. There's
Capuletti.
nothing
Regular guy, look.
better.
Pesci, yeah.
That's when we first met. Really, met Joe Pesci. I mean, he was in Raging Bull.
Yeah.
But Joe Pesci's personality came out. How about when he's in the bathroom and he's snipping his underarm hair with the scissor? Ma, leave me alone. Hysterical.
Nicky, it's Monty. You
Yeah.
hear her voice.
The best is so that when they're at Aqueduct, right? When that's is that Aqueduct? Yeah, that was Aqueduct with the carriage races.
Yeah.
And then he sees.
Well, no, Aqueduct is a thoroughbred, so
So then it was.
it might have been in Jersey somewhere.
I thought that was.
It was the Trotters, yeah.
It was the Trotters. It was the Trotters. So he sees the one Trotter put his foot down to slow the horse down because he was trying to kill the race.
Yeah.
He jumps over and Joe Pesci starts
kill ya.
chasing him.
He was throwing the
Oh,
race,
my
yeah.
God, it was great. Nothing better than that.
Oh,
Nothing
excellent,
better than
excellent stuff. But I tell you what else is excellent.
Yes.
NoahConstruction-Builders.com,
that.
Anthony.
Excellent.
Make sure you check out Pete and the guys over at NoahConstruction-Builders.com. Please go to their Instagram and check out this beautiful drone footage above these beautiful homes that they do before and after shots. You can't beat it. No job too big nor small for Pete and the boys over at Noah.
Yeah, they just started a webcast. I think Pete's doing a webcast now.
Really?
Yeah, he does all the media stuff. He's very he's up and coming with all that stuff. He does well with that.
He does well with this construction
Yeah,
too.
built beautiful houses, renovations, every Pete's the man. He does a lot of stuff for me too. My house.
He's does a lot of stuff for this program.
He
Very
sure
happy
does.
to have
He
him.
sure does.
Yes,
Absolutely.
we sure do.
Absolutely.
So, Anthony, the
Yes.
New York Knickerbockers basketball club. All right, now listen. I don't want to remind you.
Yes.
When the night Jimmy was here, you said if they beat Boston but they lose the next round, you were still going to be happy.
I knew
about
you were
it.
going to bring it
No,
up.
I'm not throwing it in your face. I'm just saying.
I knew you were going to bring that up.
But do you still feel
No.
that? I didn't think you did.
No,
I didn't believe you.
It's the way we lost. It's not that we lost. It's the way we lost the series.
Halliburton did it again.
He did it again.
Game one against the Thunder.
If we're going to get into this, if they by chance beat the Thunder, boy, are we going to look stupid as an organization that we fired that coach.
I didn't like the move at all.
If we're gonna get into this, because now I'm still torn by this. I'm not gonna be satisfied until I know we either messed up or we got a good head coach in there that we're comfortable with. I have two feelings where I'm going, and then I have a wild card that I think that we're gonna, we as an organization, they might throw out there.
Of a replacement. But just quickly before we go to the replacements, let's just talk a little bit about letting Tibbs go.
Yeah.
I wasn't in agreement with the move at all. I watched the series just like you did. Mm-hmm. They always complain he never uses his bench. He might have used his bench too much in the series maybe. Mm-hmm. But I don't think it was him. I think it was just the Pacers just outran the Knicks. Mm-hmm. They looked tired. Jalen Brunson looked exhausted throughout the whole series, especially, in the fourth quarter. And the Pacers, they stole those games, and they had a lucky bounce, and they're trying to change the series from game one, that overtime game. Mm-hmm. I don't think Tibbs lost this series. I think the Pacers just won the series. How do you feel about what Tibbs, how he coached this series, not overall?
Well, I think it was a combination of what you're saying and coaching. I'm not going to lie. I think he got out coached by Carlisle. I think Tibbs is notorious. The obvious thing is for not, running his bench.
Yeah.
I think he still wasn't going to run his bench. What I think is that Leon Rose stepped in because the players were mumbling and grumbling. I think Leon Rose stepped in and said and forced Tibbs to start playing his bench. And I think that's when the animosity kind of started. What I'm hearing now is him and Leon Rose didn't really have a great relationship because of the bench, and it all started with the Bridges situation when Bridges kind of called out publicly.
That was at the end of the regular season,
right?
Was it? It was before the playoffs?
It was. I believe it was about February when they started.
Okay, I remember Bridges saying that, which I thought was not a good.
I don't think it was professional. No question. Not at all. But I think it's a combination of both. Tibbs was driving us crazy with the lack of timeouts that he was calling.
Yeah.
The way he was using the bench, all of a sudden, then he flooded the bench. He didn't use them in the right time.
That's what I was like.
I know
he overused it.
Exactly, but I see that Tibbs is a very stubborn. Not just stubborn, he's a spiteful coach, and that's the only qualm people had about him, even when he was a coach for the Bulls
and T-Wolves.
And the T-Wolves. So
your theory is that this was not just, we don't think he did a good job, we want a different guy. You think there was some infighting going on within the front office?
There has to be some kind of, not controversy, but some kind of uneasiness within the organization.
That's definitely a good way to look at it, because it did come out of nowhere in a way.
It did. However, we don't know because we're not in the organization. Sure. So it did from what we see and what the public sees and what the media sees, but then it didn't. Certain little things you saw. You saw Josh Hart a little bit saying, I don't really know my role at times. And you saw little rumbles from certain players. Now, strategically, in my opinion, no doubt Tibbs got outcoached. He actually got outcoached in the Pistons series. And he was getting outcoached in the Celtics series a little bit.
Carlisle's a good coach.
Very.
In the Pistons series, there's no excuse for that. They should have steamrolled them, but they had a tough series.
That initially I was like, you know what I mean? And I'm not making excuses, but we don't know what would have happened in the Boston series if Tatum did not get hurt. Now, I still think we would have won in 7, but he would have made it way harder. There's no question. And actually, Tibbs, once again, got a little outcoached. He didn't call timeouts the way he was supposed to. He let every team, Pistons, Celtics, and the Pacers, come back by more than 10 instead of just stopping the momentum. Then he started to, so there was a couple things there. The other thing that drove me crazy about Tibbs is In the fourth quarter, he still lets Jalen Brunson just run amok. He gets cornered. He dribbles way too much. He loses the ball.
Small, he gets covered.
Yeah, there's no, and don't forget, he's not a traditional point guard. He's really a shooting guard that plays point guard. We've all said it. Listen, I love Jalen Brunson for what he's done for this organization. I thank him every day because nobody was in the pits of hell like a Knicks fan. No one was in the pits of hell like a Knicks fan. We had nothing to root for, and he gave us, and Tibbs,
came out of nowhere,
something to root for. Starting in 21, before Brunson got there with Tibbs, remember, that's the first year we made the playoffs.
With the whole Julius Randle.
Exactly.
Totally different team.
Total different team, and you know what? It was exciting, and the Knicks were starting to come back. So Tibbs, Jalen Brunson, especially Tibbs, thank you for everything that you've done. I'm going to say he got out-coached, and he's too stubborn. Now, the other thing is we are screaming about it. You're screaming about it. Every other Knicks fan is screaming about it, that armchair's quarterback, why didn't he guard the three? Why were so many people taking open threes? And that was infuriating.
Yeah.
Infuriating,
NBA guys, especially guys at this level, playing it this deep in the playoffs. I mean,
it's a no-brainer. I mean, again, we're not sitting on the sideline, but it's a no-brainer, Joey. But, also, I mean, think about that for a second. Yes, we can't help them hitting threes. We can't help them, doing certain things. But there's two things we can help. We could get back on defense, which we didn't, ever, and we're not guarding that three. Tibbs cannot help turnovers. That's not Tibbs' fault.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hands on the court.
That's he cannot help Brunson and Cat being buffoons on the defensive end. And that's what they are. They are a liability defensively, and we know that. But for what they provide offensively, it's so much better than the little mistakes they make defensively. But those little mistakes obviously added up in the playoffs. So, listen, to sum this up, I think Tibbs brought us as far as Tibbs could go. I'm gonna say that, because he's and you saw it. You saw it in the past with his other teams.
Yeah,
that I know.
It's not a championship winning coach.
I think because we've been screaming about it. Then he does good things, and then we praise him. Blah 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 blah. Here's the thing, though. I don't think they really. I think just like other things in the past that the Knicks have done, they kind of went all in on situations. I don't think they have a concrete plan. I think they're gonna. I'm gonna give you my theory. I think that they're really gonna go forth on one person and then maybe a player. I don't think they really have a concrete plan unless Leon Rose, like he's done, surprises the heck out of us. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I just you knew what you had with Thibodeau,
right?
Tyrese Halliburton has had awful games, but then hits. What do you have? 6 points, 8 points the other night, and he hits the three to win the game against Oklahoma City. So to me, it was like it was little things like that.
Yeah,
that I can't kill Thibodeau.
You can't kill Tibbs.
Yeah.
But the Pacers play a very unique type of basketball.
Yeah,
and they are. Really, as soon as you score, they are down your throat.
They're never out of the game.
And then that's the other thing. But again, defensively, we should have gotten back 80% of those times.
Were they just tired, though? Did they outrun them?
No, because let me tell you, the Pacers done this the whole season. That's how they win their games, Joey.
Yeah, but so were the Knicks tired because of the pace that the Pacers played their game at, Paul Dance?
I don't think so. I truly, a little bit. I'm sure there was some fatigue, mental and physical, but this is just what the Pacers do. They wear you down. Yes. They're very pesky. They're down your throats. But we could. I'll give you an example. So Game 4, when we won that game, when it was 3-2. I'm sorry, Game 5, when it was 3-2. Right. The defensive scheme that Tibbs or whoever put in place was phenomenal because then they started doing a half-court pressure on the Pacers. Was working. Yeah. It was working. But you are correct about that. That's very tiring on a team, and it's taxing. But that half-court pressure, it wasn't full court, but it was half-court. So that was working on the Pacers. So that there showed me, okay, if we could do that, take their airspace away with the threes a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. We got a chance of winning the game. But then again, Tibbs, okay, here comes the fourth quarter. all right, Brunson, let me dribble around 7 people. I'm going to throw the ball backwards. I'm going to this, I'm going to that. Where was the offensive scheming for them? And also, the other thing that Tibbs, and this is what probably Bridges was complaining about, he didn't run plays for OG. He didn't run plays. He ran a few for Bridges, and he didn't really run plays for Cat. And that was the other qualms about Tibbs. You know?
OG had such a hot series.
Right.
He got that getting the ball in his hand.
Right, so they're hoping a different coach, and they're hoping that. So
all right, so now coach search, long way to go. We know that some of the names that are familiar, some of the people that people talked about it already took themselves out of the running, i.e. Rick Pitino,
right,
Danny
Hurley,
Dan Hurley, right, and
Jay Wright.
I said help me out here
Yep,
with
yep.
the Virginia
Jay
the
Wright,
Villanova coach,
right.
All right, so now the new name that everybody's talking about is Jason Kidd.
He's been talked about,
right? So, but you got to trade for him.
Well, Dallas, this is the contradicting things about Dallas right now. First of all, they're very unorganized. That whole team, that whole front office is completely unorganized.
It's a whole new team.
Yeah, and it's also, they just don't know what they're doing half the time. So anyway, what I did hear yesterday, it might have changed today, that they weren't even acknowledging, they weren't going to let Jason Kidd speak to anybody. But then I heard this morning that they are letting conversations happen for Jason Kidd and the Knicks. Now, why Kidd would want to come to the Knicks? Because he could win now with the Knicks.
Well, I mean, he can win now. He was a Knick.
Right.
He was the Nets coach. He was a Nets
Biggest
player.
thing is what you're about to say.
He knows all about the big city. He's not going to have any pressure that he can't handle.
Right.
As a coach of the New York Knicks.
Right.
Then they can probably get him for a 2. I mean, that's kind of been the thing with Doc Rivers, with the Jason Kidd when the Bucks got him from New Jersey.
Yep.
They were probably Brooklyn then.
Well, what happened was, Joey, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No.
But what happened was in 2020, Kidd interviewed for the Knicks job, didn't get it. They gave me the Tibbs, but Kidd was second. Biggest thing is he has a big relationship with Jalen Brunson because he coached the Mavericks. So, and Brunson openly had said, besides Tibbs, Jason Kidd was his favorite coach in the NBA to work on. I mean, that was only 2, but
it's a point guard, so it's a good
correct.
match.
Correct.
Good
And
marriage there.
I think Kidd, and what Brunson said was Kidd makes him better. He made him a better player, but I think Kidd would get the point guard out of Brunson. Because don't forget, he was a point guard in college, and he was a really good point guard in college. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He distributed the ball. He spread the
Talking about
floor.
Brunson now.
Yeah.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is he had mentioned that Jason Kidd made him a better player, giving him the confidence. He said Tibbs made him an all-star. There's no doubt. You know why? Because Tibbs let him shoot the ball, let him penetrate, let him do everything.
Yeah.
But Tibbs made him a little more confident because, Jason Kidd made him a little more confident because that's who he had before Tibbs.
Yeah.
He gave him the confidence, and he made him a better ball player as well. You know what I mean? So I think Jason Kidd is a good fit. I don't like Johnny Bryant. I don't think his experience. Does he know the team?
Is that the assistant?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a tough one to promote a guy into a win-now situation like that.
Well, my biggest thing is I have a feeling if the Kidd thing don't work out, they're going to settle on him. Yeah. And then that was a mistake on Leon Rose.
It worked with Van Gundy.
Yeah.
With Riley and Van Gundy.
Funny you say that.
But I mean, you don't know if you're going to strike lightning twice.
Yeah.
I would like to see somebody with NBA experience come here. I like Jason Kidd. If they can get him for...
You mean coaching? You mean head coaching NBA?
Yes.
Okay.
Head coaching experience.
Yep.
This team is, I mean, the next step is, we know what the next step is, right? So they came, pretty close this year. Would a new coach change some things? Of course, they all do. They got to put their stamp on the team.
Right.
Does a guy like Jason Kidd turn Brunson in a little bit and make him more of a traditional point guard, which doesn't exist in today's game that much?
It does.
Chris Paul's like the last one.
Yeah, it does. First of all, the guys that come out of college that are really good point guards always have to shoot a little bit more in the NBA. So then that I understand.
Yeah, college game, they still play
100%,
the old style.
100%. Even though the college game, they're all like NBA players now, but that's another conversation. But that's where I think that Kidd would excel. He'll bring Brunson in a little bit. You know what I mean? All right, we got to really spread this floor. Not that Brunson doesn't, but remember, he was relied on to score a lot. Yeah, he's Captain Clutch. He's this, but if you really do get, we got this team together to beat the Celtics. We did that, right? But now we got this team. We have weapons on this team. We have offensive weapons that weren't really being utilized, and that's what the players were talking about with Tibbs. And then that was his MO at this point. So Jason I think could be a good fit. People don't agree with that. I don't think Johnny Bryant's going to be a good fit because the pressure on that man is going to be like an anvil on top of his back.
Yeah, that's definitely, it's going to be a tough spot. I think it's going to be a much easier transition with the guy with NBA head coaching experience. I mean, the fans like Kidd.
Yeah.
He's
Jason Kidd, man.
He's very
Superstar.
good with the media. He was like that his whole career, college player and coach.
Professional.
He's done well, in his stops. But like you said, Dallas is in a weird spot.
Yeah.
They trade Luka.
Right.
They draft Cooper Flagg.
I think it was all fixed. I think it was all fixed. I think it was all fixed. And that actually that really discouraged me as a man. Because how could that happen?
Well, how complain with Ewing?
That's very true. And
Doink, the thing was
this is why
that globe.
This is why the Pacers and the Knicks also had that big rivalry.
Oh, because the Pacers were number
right.
2 with Rick Smits.
They could have got Patrick Ewing.
Yeah. But they got Smits, who played Ewing really well in the playoffs.
He did.
It wasn't Ewing. Don't get me wrong.
He did.
But Ewing was the LeBron of that draft,
he did.
obviously.
He did.
So Dallas is in kind of a weird spot right now. I could see them letting him go if they can get something, in return. Why not? Take a second rounder from the Knicks.
If I could have a crystal ball, which I don't, I think that's going to be their route. I wasn't thinking that until a couple of days, because now I'm really analyzing his relationship with Brunson, Kid's relationship with Brunson. How he could, put his 2 cents in there. He's a point guard. Remember, point guards are going to be the best coaches because they see the whole court differently than anybody else's, and especially a traditional smart point guard like Jason Kidd. Now, you mentioned him before. My dark horse pick in this. It could happen because he's back coaching. He's on the bench for the Clippers, Jeff Van Gundy. It could happen. It could happen. Remember, he was out of coaching for a while.
Well, he's in a booth with Green and Jackson for how many years? Which he was fantastic.
Fantastic. I hate Richard
what
Jefferson.
What a terrible move.
I hate Richard Jefferson.
That whole booth. Another story, but just
Doris,
awful decision.
Every time I can't help it. Every time it's on ESPN, the first thing I say is, "Hello, Doris."
Jimmy hates that.
I can't say it. Anyway.
Bang! At least he's there.
At least we got Breen.
Wait, so you think Jeff Van Gundy? He's assistant with the Clippers?
Correct. And he runs the offense with the Clippers. And what do the Knicks need a little bit more of? Tibbs was a defensive coach.
He's always been a defensive coach.
Right. Yeah. So he runs the offense. And the Clippers' offense was dynamite this year. So that could be a little bit of a dark horse. And then again, you got the Johnny Bryant situation. Now, what everyone's talking about, the Knicks are cooking, Leon Rose is cooking. We didn't discuss this. It's not the coaching situation. Yeah. It's the Giannis situation. So if
they got nothing off of them. They traded it all from Mikal Bridges.
We still have a couple of picks. So it would be Bridges. It would be someone else really big.
Salary.
And then we get when Giannis. I think, once again, that could be the move because don't forget, he's got a big, Kid has a relationship with Giannis as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Correct. So
you bring Kid in, and then you start pick the phone up, and you.
I think that's what Leon wrote. I think that's his ultimate. At this point, I personally would have loved to see Jay Wright just come right into the NBA and just boom, this is going to be my team. But he wasn't in from Villanova. He's some coach. Some basketball coach.
Look at the success he's had at that level.
But
to me, Antetokounmpo goes to the Spurs. They're going to be I picked them to win. As a long shot
if
to win
that
the title
happens, they're winning the title. I don't think he's gonna. I think he wants to come to New York.
But my thing is, if you're Milwaukee,
Yeah.
do you take a ton of ones, or do you take some players and you just try to retool? I don't think they're in a retool mode right now. If you dump a guy like Giannis,
Yeah.
I think you go full rebuild.
I think Giannis is lost his luster in Milwaukee.
Oh, I think he's definitely going to get
he
moved
wants
this
out.
offseason. Yeah.
I think. I mean, the Knicks. As much as he would really like almost be a bull in a china shop at times with that offense, he's still Giannis. He still was the MVP.
Oh, he's great.
I mean, him and Brunson, no doubt, would work very well together.
How would him and Towns work together?
See, that's the issue because
Exactly.
you know. But I don't know. They might move. I don't know. Like this is we're gonna find all of this hopefully within this week, and you know we're either gonna be like, oh, they screwed up the organization again. Here comes Dolan. Here comes this. Here comes that. Or the most interesting thing also is what I heard today is so they had a meeting. So the players, the coach, and the owner of the Knicks had a meeting, and I think so. What the meeting was, the coach didn't really say anything. I'm sorry, Leon Rose. So the GM, the owner, and then the players. So the GM really didn't say much. So the owner, I heard in the meeting, this is what someone in the media said. I forgot who said it. The owner was asking the players what they thought about Tibbs. So for me, that seems like the owner was looking for fuel to fire him. You know, because you're asking the coach, you know, the players what they think of the coach, and the coach is not around. I think you know that's they were looking for reasons to get rid of Tibbs. There's no doubt.
That's not a very good look to have a meeting like that at all.
Yeah,
I think that's all. That's typical Dolan.
It's typical Dolan. But Leon Rose really does have the organization in a chokehold, which is great. But I think Leon Rose might have asked Dolan, you know, his opinion on certain things. And look, that guy cursed this franchise the minute he took it over. But since Leon Rose got here, don't forget, we've been in the playoffs 4 to 5.
Leon Rose has done a phenomenal job with this team.
Right. So,
he's put the right people in place. He's done a good job. I mean, they haven't drafted great, but they've been picking, you know, later because they've been making the playoffs. So I don't worry about drafting as much if you keep winning every year.
Nah, I mean, listen, he made the Bridges is still is still up in the air.
That one I didn't like from day one. I told you because I hate giving away down the road.
We wanted to win now. We wanted to beat Boston. What do we do?
Well, listen, Bridges.
Without Bridges, we don't beat Boston.
That was especially those first 2 games. I mean, he played dynamite.
Yep.
So Bridges definitely did make an impact with this team. During the regular season, not as much, but when the money was on the table, he did well.
Yeah. Well, we were killing him. You know, he was missing tons of shots, but the fourth quarter is what counted. So.
Yeah, but I still hate trading future ones that Isaiah did that year after year, and they were always just on a hamster wheel. It was awful.
That's what I
whole
mean.
Era.
That era, and we were still hardcore fans. That era was a nightmare. The Marbury. It all started with the Marbury. It just was a nightmare. After 2001, it became a nightmare.
But you want to know what really changed that organization? Them thinking they were going to get LeBron James.
That's very true.
During the decision, right?
Yep.
The whole thing when he went to Miami. They traded for Amari Stoudemire, who I liked.
He brought the Knicks back.
He did play, but they had David Lee at the spot. So they got rid of Lee for nothing, who was an automatic double-double every night.
He was good, no doubt.
Every night, right?
He was good.
They brought Stoudemire in only because they thought they were going to get LeBron James. LeBron James says no to them, goes to the Miami Heat. They bring in
Stoudemire.
Well, still it has Stoudemire. They bring in later on Carmelo Anthony and Phil Jackson. And the team's fortunes changed for the worse under Phil.
Well, check this out. Don't forget that team.
Donnie Moore was banking on LeBron.
Well, before D'Antoni had that team, before they got Melo, D'Antoni had that team on the up and up. They had Danilo Gallinari. They had Crawford. They had a lot of players on that team.
Crawford.
Yeah, he was the only good thing about the Knicks in that era before Melo. He was the only good thing. But, you know, before that, D'Antoni, he had that team playing like, the running style, the D'Antoni, that was right. And then Melo came in. Melo was a coach killer. Listen, Melo,
he did good though. I mean,
listen,
I'm not killing them, but I'm saying that those fortunes that. Let's trade for Amari to attract LeBron. You never make a trade to attract somebody else.
Yeah, I get it.
You get that guy after.
LeBron wasn't coming here.
LeBron never in a million years.
But point being, and again, I have my qualms with Melo. Is he a great player? I always had issues with Melo because of his attitude. He was a coach killer, and truthfully, he really wasn't the greatest Knick. Did I love Carmelo? Absolutely.
He was a lot of fun to watch.
He was one incredible scorer. There's nobody that has ever. He was basically. I'm losing my mind here. Melo had that. He wasn't fast. He wasn't explosive. He couldn't dunk. He was ISO. You know what I mean? But like he was Bernard King is what I'm thinking about. He was Bernard King on another level. The way he played. That was basically
King was better than him.
I can't say that. There's no way King was better.
I saw King play in person. He was better.
Bernard King was some scorer.
I saw both playing, but to me, Bernard King was
one
of the best NBA players if he didn't hurt that knee.
Was he? I don't. You would know.
So good.
You would know better than me because I didn't watch him at that point. I was too young.
Brought the Knicks back from the dead.
He did.
50-win team because of him.
He did, but Melo was a better player. He was very, very similar the way he played.
Conversation.
Yeah. That's a conversation for another day.
But I always say that if the Knicks, they started chasing names. So that's why they brought in Phil Jackson, who was there for a paycheck. It was just a terrible.
Brutal.
I mean, at the time, it seemed good.
Brutal.
Oh, wow, this guy's a former Knick. He won a ring here in 73. He's a big-time coach.
Yep.
Why wouldn't he do well with this team?
Yep.
And he just had no idea what he was doing in the front office. And the Melo trade, I mean, did they win that trade? They had the biggest name in it, but a guy like Gallinari had a nice career after they got rid of him. They traded a lot of people in that. Felton, I think, went in that trade.
Raymond Felton. There was a lot.
And they took on big money with Melo, and he kind of was, like you said, was an ISO guy. He didn't really play with the guys around him. He played back to the basket himself.
We were excited. They had Smith. They had a lot of people. They had made Tyson Chandler. They had a lot of people on
Defensive Player of the Year. They beat the Celtics in that playoff round with Carmelo. Right. So they did have some success with him, but I think Donnie Moore panicked and said, get LeBron here, get people that he wants to play with, and they heard that he liked Stoudemire, so they made a move for him.
Yeah, Stoudemire, again, he brought the Knicks back from the dead for a little while.
I like David Lee, though, but you had the same exact player already in there making much less money.
Yeah, and he was younger.
And they drafted him.
I know.
Right?
I like David Lee. I
love David Lee. He was, and for his whole career, he was a 10-10 guy.
Yeah.
Every night, so.
To sum this up, before we say goodbye.
Say goodbye.
Trevor, you there? Okay.
Buenos Aires.
All right. So to sum this up, what is your prediction? And I'm going to give you my prediction on what's going to happen. Go.
I think they do get Kidd. I think they give cash considerations if they're allowed to. If not, I'm not even sure Jimmy would know that. But I think they trade a second and they bring Kidd here and they see what happens. What
do you think about Giannis? You think Giannis is coming?
No.
You don't think Giannis is coming?
It's a prayer.
All right. Personally, I'm going to agree with you with the Kidd situation.
Okay.
I think they're going to get Giannis. Giannis is coming.
Who are they trading besides OG Bridges?
I think it's going to be Bridges. I think it might be Cat. And I think whatever picks we got left, that's what I think we're doing. Because they want to win. They got the window is now to 3 years from now. And I think that's what they're going for.
We're going to have to leave it there. We will see you guys next Monday, 7:30 on WGBB Radio. Have a good night.
Noah, I have a job for you.
Jeez, it's not another arc, is it?
No, not again. This time I need a full-scale home renovation.
Noah Construction and Builders is your design and build partner. We do it all, from additions and dormers to full-scale renovations. Schedule your no-cost design consultation today. Visit us online at noahconstruction-builders.com.
Noah Construction and Builders. Through dreams we design, with vision we build.